100%.
Yeah.
But the question is, like, is there enough passion projects out there for everybody to do what you do or to do what I do?
Well, the
and
thing
just to
is,
chase what they enjoy.
Because I did YouTube for no pay for years, and I did it
Right.
making hardly anything. And
I did this podcast for no money for years.
Yeah, and
this
even-
podcast cost me money for like the first 5 or 6 years that I was doing it.
Exactly. And so even if I was making minimum wage doing YouTube, I'd still be way happier than if I was making like 3 or 4 times minimum wage doing something else.
Of
you know?
course, yeah.
Yeah. And so you also kind of have to factor that in. Whereas if you do what you love, you don't necessarily need as much.
I think with a lot of people, the problem is external pressures. Like, obviously, your mom wanted you to go to college,
Yep.
and my parents didn't want me to do a lot of the things that I did. But luckily for both of us, we didn't listen. And I think that's the thing. It's like,
Yeah.
but how do you transfer that to a child? How do you tell a young kid coming up, you've got to learn how to be stubborn, and you got to learn how to know when you're right.
Yeah.
And you got to learn how to chase down the things that actually excite
Well,
you.
the flip side, we took some big risks.
Yes.
I know, I have a friend who actually I support, similar thing, all in, $50,000 in debt, channel didn't take off, whatever. And so he quit and like ruined his life. So it's like, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. Not everyone's going to end up like us. And so I pay him like 10 grand a month. He's good. He's not homeless anymore. But, so it's like, I don't know where the line is, where it's like, where we're not giving people advice that could potentially fuck them over. Because obviously that, even though you might be less happy, you have a higher chance of not being homeless by being a sheep and doing that stuff.
There's a thing like that with comedians too, right? Because I have friends that I thought were really funny. And you're, going back a decade ago, like I remember hanging out with them at the Comedy Store going, 10 years from now, this person's going to be killing it.
Yep.
10 years from now, they're no better off than they were then.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. And I don't know what it is. And they can be funny. I've seen them have really good jokes on stage, pretty good stage presence. But for whatever it is, they've never been able to get that real traction and then just build on it with the most. Like, one of the things that I see with you is you have massive momentum and all this inertia that's going towards like getting things done, and you keep building on it. You keep adding to the machine. Like,
Exactly.
Some people don't do that for whatever reason, and I don't know if that's a teachable thing.
Well, I mean, there's more to it. It's like also, like my first brand deal. Everyone in the world's like, oh, just, set the money aside, put this in an IRA, do this thing. And I'm like, no, I'm just going to go spend it on a video or whatever. Like, people always want you to set aside money or de-risk things. And like, it's like everything kind of like points to you doing what's opposite of what's optimal, even though what's optimal for growing a business is hella risky. So it's like, I don't know.
But it's also, there's no real precedent.